project scope management knowledge area. And the top of the list, we have plan scope management. This is the plan that goes up into our project management plan. And we also have another plan called the requirements management plan. We also developed this here. Your mileage may vary in the real world, but we have officially 2 plans that make up the plan scope management process.
And like Emily said, mileage varies in the real world. You might choose to do some and not do others. We're showing you the perfect world here. In collect requirements, this is where we collect all the requirements, technical, functional, business, project, and what have you.
Well, we then take our requirements and analyze our statement of work or whatever inputs were for the project charter, and we define our scope. Defining a scope is the process where we end up with a scope statement. This identifies all the work that your project will entail, things that will be excluded from your project so you don't have scope creep, hopefully. Also, constraints and assumptions are identified and analyzed here in Define Scope.
And after you do that, you start thinking about something called a WBS in this process called Create WBS. It's a hierarchical decomposition of your project. It looks like a family tree, but then you decompose it down to a level where the work becomes roughly anywhere from 40 to 80 hours. On some small projects, people actually say, well, my WBS lowest level items are 2 or 4 hours. It's all very subjective, but at the end of the day, you come up with a WBS, and it creates a graphical, hierarchical document for you to analyze really what is in the project and what is not in the project.
Validate Scope is in the monitoring and controlling process group. That's why I forgot that it existed. Because generally speaking, we come back to validate scope after we've done all the other planning and executing within our project. But we do validate scope throughout the duration of our project. It's where we look at our deliverable with the stakeholder, specifically the customer, may come to these meetings, and this is where the deliverable is reviewed and change requests may come about. Ultimately, this is the last process we do before we move into the closing process group.
And again, like Emily said, it really is the last, which means it does come after this. Theoretically speaking, and in the real world too. We should think like that. So control scope is a process in which you actually prevent gold plating, you prevent people from adding extras, you prevent scope creep, people from doing what they think is good but not what is documented in the previous processes we've talked about. So in control scope, the PM ensures only the work that is required is done, preventing scope creep and any other bad behaviors.